Thank you for subscribing to Sheila Lives Out Loud. We're sharing some of our best lessons from the show as we count down to a new season. Here's my motivate.
We've talked about career and your growth. And you know, your career is chapters unfolding, everything sitting together and all just going back to radio in one way or the other. Before we talk about what happens next in your path forward, I'd like us to now talk about something that happened to you. At the beginning, you described yourself as a fitness fanatic, which is true. You're a man who's been very specific in taking care of yourself, in living a clean lifestyle, in just, you know, working with the treasure of the body that you've been given and nurturing it well. But then a couple of months ago, in fact, should I even say months, Kevin? Because this story is yours. Abu, can you begin to unpack? Because to be quite frank, as your friend, when I came to see you in hospital and you told me about the cancer, in many ways I just sort of lost faith in fitness. Does that make sense?
There were people who said that. They were like, if Kevo can get cancer, what's the point of
Why
exercising?
Are we busy
Let's eat, binge, have nyama every day. If this guy can get the cancer, who's safe, so to speak?
Exactly. So let's go back to the beginning of the cancer story. You're living a fit life. You're doing great. Your career is blossoming. And then something stopped you in your tracks.
Yes, minding my business, filing my nails.
Looking pretty.
Yeah.
What happened?
Cancer happened.
How? How did you even know? Take us to when you knew you were in trouble.
I still can't believe this is my story, and I'm still getting used to me telling it. The trouble began in April. I was training for this race, and I started getting lower back pain. So I went to the physio, my chiro, everything, and it just wasn't going away. And I couldn't. And one morning I just couldn't run, you know. And when I tried running, I just couldn't. So went to see a doctor, did an MRI, and they found what they call as a hemangioma, an enlarged blood clot on my L5, which is one of the bones on the spine, on the lower spine. They said, you're growing older, everything is fine, you're in shape, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm fast-tracking it. I found myself in hospital. You know, the night before I was spasming uncontrollably. I was blinking and I would spasm. You know, I was in so much pain. Went to the hospital, they found out that I had a fractured vertebrae.
How did that even happen?
And no one knows. Fast-tracking now, this was in May. Fast-tracking now to October, where I knew something was wrong. You know, I'd get pains in my body, my lower back, despite almost 4 months of not doing much physical activity. It's still, I'm like, can bones take this long to heal? I even asked my doctor, what's up? And I remember there was one time I got a sharp pain on my shoulder blades, like someone was had a drill and was literally on my shoulder blade. I'm like, what the hell? So I started describing this to him, and I'd gone for a review and I was telling him all this. I'm like, you guy, this thing is taking too long. So I did a series of x-rays and MRIs. It's like, you do this. A few days later, soon after that, I'd gone to Uganda, and he called me. He's like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm in Uganda, work. He's like, I need you back in Nairobi today. This was like at around 1 o'clock. And I asked him, what's happening?
Why the urgency?
Yeah, why the urgency? See, I come on Fridays. Like, no, I need you in Nairobi today in hospital. You know, you don't expect phone calls like that.
No.
You're like, is how? And he told me, don't exercise. That morning I was going to, something just told me not to. I had to wear a corset before from June. It's like, do you have your corset? Yes, wear it now and get to Nairobi. You know, and then I asked him, what's up? He's like, your images don't look great. It's one of two things. Spinal TB or multiple myeloma. I'm like, multiple myeloma is...
What does that mean? Whose friend is that?
Whose friend?
Yes.
Yeah,
where do they live? Yeah.
You know?
Help me.
Yeah. And he's like, it's a blood cancer. So it's one of those two things. So I remember when I got that, I went to my room at the hotel and I called my friend and I cried. He was the first person. And then when the doctor was telling me, I think this was the journalist that kicked in. I asked for a piece of paper at the bar and I just wrote down everything that he said. Did an email to my family and told them, this is it, I'm coming to Nairobi tonight, picking a few things and I'm going straight to the hospital. It was so bizarre. I couldn't work that day. I went and told my bosses, me going to Nairobi, this is what they're thinking. That evening, I was admitted into the Aga Khan. They did lots of tests, keeping my fingers crossed it was spinal TB. A few days later, they discovered that it wasn't. So they said, you tested negative for spinal TB, which would only mean one thing.
One thing,
I
the
have
other
cancer.
option. Yeah.
The other option. And people say you accepted that very quickly. And I'm like, you have two options.
Yeah, it can either be one of these two.
Yeah, it's like asking someone to marry. It's either yes
or
or no.
no. Yes.
You know, there's no maybe. There's no maybe there. You know, I'll marry you on Monday. So I think that process was going through my head. For the longest, I'd hoped it was spinal TB. For the longest, I'd hoped it was. I'm like, I hope this is it. And we had just come from burying my favorite aunt who had just died of cancer. So the family we had relatives who'd flown in, so the family was still in that mourning stage. This was, I think, barely 2 weeks into her passing away. And then next thing, Kevo has cancer. You know, it was that. You're like, I'm trying to go back to that moment. It's like, okay. It was almost like, Sawa, this is what you've thrown at me.
Yeah.
You know, okay. You know, and I think I accepted it a lot faster than everybody else. I'm like, what to do? And I remember and I felt guilty at one time that I had cancer. I felt guilty that I was putting the family through this. We just buried my Aunt Judy, and then all of a sudden it's this. I felt guilty, or like, I'm 43, I've got cancer, where the chum's gonna come from? How can I go back to my folks' digs and start depending on people? You know? It was that. I really wasn't worried about myself initially. And then I remember having a conversation with my mom, asking her, what were you telling people that I have? She said, oh, I'm telling people you've got a lower back. I'm like, that's not helping. In my head, I didn't know. If we've had cases of cancer in our family. If we're going to make any progress, we might as well say it. I will, for lack of, for some people might struggle with this, but I will claim it and own it. It is what it is. It is what it is. There's no pussyfooting around it. And I remember when got a really good doctor, and they were good people. And I think because I had good people ushering me into this, and I think in the process of being at the Aga Khan, they were really kind to me. I'd go for an MRI, and someone's like, do you know why you're here? We're testing for growth. Another test, we're testing for a lump. They were all very gentle with me and never used the same word. So in my head, like, this is...
You guys, it's okay.
It's okay.
You can say it.
You can say it.
Say the same word.
I may not want you to say it, but
just say it.
This is it. But they were very... I remember one nurse, actually, when the doctor told me that it was... They told me it was multiple myeloma. She just touched me. And she felt it. And you're like...
Oh, Kevin.
Sorry.
I've got to...
And it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. This is what I have. Okay. I don't know why I'm even crying now, because I'm through the worst, but I think this is the first time I've actually gone through this and just relived this whole process.
And even don't, because if you get me started and I'm just the worst.
I'm just sweating. It's so hot now.
Oh, Kevin.
But it is what it is. We can't. It is what it is. And that's what this journey is.
Can't change it.
You can't change it. Can't change it.
For the rest of this story, please click here.